What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 3 of Monologue with Mason. Today, I want to answer and talk about kind of one topic. And that is the topic and the question of that men should be providing for their family and those around them. I think we hear this a lot, and unfortunately in our society, I think a lot of times this is forgotten. And men have been shrinking away from this responsibility. But then I think there's also a big misconception about what this means. When we say this and when we hear this, we immediately think men need to provide financially. But as we think about this doesn't really make sense, because that's just one aspect of providing for your family and those around you. But I do want to start off with financially and talk about how important it is for men to be providing for their family financially. Now, this does not mean that the wife should not work and the women in your life should not work. I'm not going to say that that is wrong for them to do so, but the financial burden should fall on you. So you should be there, and if she wants to take time off, if she wants to stop working, if she wants to, when you have kids, she wants to stay home with them for either all of their the entire time they're growing up, maybe just a season, you need to take the financial brunt of that and do whatever you need to do to still be able to provide for your family financially. Maybe that's go out and find a new job, whether that's go back to college, maybe that's get a certificate, maybe that's working a part-time job somewhere else, or starting a business, or something else that brings in additional income. That is where I look at that men need to take the financial burden, and therefore if your wife wants to step back, you need to be willing to step up. And if she's not wanting to be in that position at all, then you need to be willing to step in and take care of that. So financially is obviously very, very important, and men need to take the brunt of that responsibility. But it is not just financially. It is also emotionally, and providing your time and providing your resources, skills, opportunities. The list can go on and on and on about all of the things that men need to provide. But kind of want to dive into them a little bit. Men need to provide emotionally. And I know as men, a lot of people think kind of in two extremes. One, men need to be stoic and don't have any emotions and everything's logical. Or you have the other side where people are saying, no, men need to open up and share their feelings and feel them and everything. And I think there's a middle ground. I think men obviously need to feel their emotions, and then they need to take those emotions, control them, then think about how they logically need to respond. But men don't need to provide emotionally in that sense. Men need to provide emotionally for their family. So they need to be there for their wife and their kids. That way, when they are feeling an emotion, men need to be a backbone to that and need to be able to talk through them and work through whatever issue is going on. Talk through, give scenarios, be there to support them and be compassionate. So men need to provide that emotional support to their families. And I think a lot of times we think that is emasculine to sit down and talk about your wife's feelings and talk about your kids' feelings. And it's so much easier to say, no, you just need to be tougher. No, you just need to push through it. We'll be all right. But no, a big responsibility of men is to provide emotional support to your family. And the other one is time. You need to provide your time for your family. Provide time for you and your wife to go out on a date, just the two of you. Provide time for a family night. Provide time to take your daughter or take your son out on an activity and do an activity with them. Providing that time to just sit down and talk to them. All of those things are providing your time, and that's so important. Men should not be just working, coming home, ignoring their family. No, you need to dedicate your time to them and provide that to them and be very active in their life. You also need to provide resources and skills, and I think this plays out a lot in kind of taking taking care of the house and maybe a little bit financially as well. But if something breaks in the house, well, man should figure out how to fix it, or bare minimum, figure out who to call and how to get the best deal and save money, and who to hire, figure out who to hire in order to see that they do the best, and that way it gets done correctly and things like that. So providing your resources and skills, and this is why I think it's so important for men to be constantly learning, to provide that for your family. Constantly be learning so that you can be resourceful when it comes to everyday life. And also, I think men need to provide opportunities. Need to provide opportunities, obviously, for themselves, but also they need to provide those opportunities to those around them. So providing an opportunity for your kids to play a sport. And maybe that's financial. You need to make sure you have provided enough financially to take care of them. And maybe that is time. You need to provide time to take them and support them through that. Whatever it is, you need to provide opportunity. Now, that doesn't mean that everything your kids want to do and everything your family wants to do, whether it's vacations or whatnot, you need to jump on. Obviously, you still need to be wise about that, but you need to go through and provide that opportunity in a general sense. Now, of course, men need to be wise about this. This is not something that men should just I just need to make more money. I just need to be there emotionally. I just need to spend time. I need to build resources and opportunities and skills. You need to be wise about how you balance this, because it is so easy, like I said, to dive into just one of these. Maybe you're like, no, I need to be a good dad. I need to be there for my kids all the time, so I can't take this one job because I'm not going to be able to spend every second with them. Well, no, that's not necessarily wise. Should you take your time with your kids and your family into consideration when taking a job? Absolutely. If your job requires you to travel a lot and you know that's not going to be good for time with your wife and kids, then yes, you shouldn't take that job. But if it's like, I'm going to work one evening every once in a while, that's going to take time away from my family, is that worth it? Well, maybe that is worth it. You kind of have to see and be wise about thinking through scenarios. And obviously there may be time where traveling may be completely fine for your family, but you need to be wise about how you balance these. And that also mean that sometimes some of these things may have to take a back burner. So maybe you are really struggling financially and you need to pick up a second job, and that means you can't spend as much time with your kids, spend as much time with your wife. Should you still strive to spend time with them? Absolutely, but you may understand that in this season, until we get back up on our feet, I may be working 12, 15-hour days in order to provide for my family, and that may take a little bit of time, but it is to work towards getting that time back. And that's, I think, the key point. It is only for a season. You may have to work hard. You may have to work above and beyond what you normally would do, taking away time for opportunities, taking away time for you to build resources and skills, and that may be taking up time, right? And then once you get back on your feet, once you get a raise, once you can get a new job, whatever it is, you may be able to say, okay, now I can back off of work a little bit and I can add in that time. Maybe, unfortunately, sometimes terrible things happen and or maybe it's not even terrible. Maybe your son or daughter is ready to go out to college, right? They're moving away. You may dial back on work a little bit. You may take a lot of vacation time. You may take a lot of personal days, and that may affect you financially, but you may spend that time with that child. Or maybe your wife's going away on a trip and you take a couple days before and you take away from work a little bit to spend time. It's just for a season that you're spending more on time than financially, but that could be wise for that season. There's all kinds of times where you might be able to have to shift things around, but the important thing is it's just for a season. You should never just put one of these areas where men should be providing on the back burner Never just put it on the back burner and leave it there. It should only go on the back burner because you're working on something out and knowing that you're going to pull that back up to the front and be a lot more balanced in your life. So, men, challenge you. Make sure you're providing for the people around you. Not just financially, although financially is extremely important, but also emotionally. Be there. Be the backbone. Make sure you're spending time with the people around you. Provide that time. Provide your resources and skills and constantly be trying to improve that so that you can provide even more to your family and providing those opportunities. Well, I hope this podcast was helpful. I hope talking about men providing was helpful for you. Please let me know what other questions, what other topics you'd like me to cover, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.